Hey everybody, welcome back to Biblical Seekers. Today, we're going to go over the 10 Commandments before Mount Sinai. It's time to seek the truth. Okay, let's get started. Let's begin with commandment number 1, which can be found in Exodus chapter 20, verse 3.
Thou shalt have no other gods before me.
You see, in the book of Exodus, we see that God was ready to serve justice on all the inhabitants of Egypt for putting other gods before him. Here, let's see what it says in Exodus chapter 12, verse 12. For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast, and against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgment. I am the Lord. So we can clearly see the first commandment is to have no other gods, but rather to serve the true living God. Now let's have a look at the second commandment, which can be found in Exodus chapter 20, verse 4 through 5.
Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them.
We can see that Jacob fully understood this commandment, as well as the first commandment, long before Mount Sinai. We can see this in Genesis chapter 35, verses 1 through 4. And God said unto Jacob, Arise, go up to Bethel, and dwell there, and make there an altar unto God, that appeared unto thee when thou fleddest from the face of Esau thy brother. Then Jacob said unto his household, and to all that were with them, Put away the strange gods that are among you, and be clean, and change your garments, and let us arise, and go up to Bethel, and I will make there an altar unto God, who answered me in the day of my distress, and was with me in the way which I went. And they gave unto Jacob all the strange gods which were in their hand, and all their earrings which were in their ears, and Jacob hid them under the oak which was by Shechem. So we can see that Jacob clearly acknowledges the first and second commandment, and the importance of getting rid of idols and only worshiping the true God. Now let's move on to the third commandment, which can be found in Exodus chapter 20, verse 7.
Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain.
Here, let's dig deeper into scripture by going over to Job chapter 1, verse 5. And it was so, when the days of their feastings were gone about, that Job sent and sanctified them, and rose up early in the morning, and offered burnt offerings according to the number of them all. For Job said, It may be that my sons have sinned, and cursed God in their hearts. Thus did Job continually. You see, Job was concerned that his children might have cursed God in their heart. And to curse God in your heart is certainly taking God's name in vain. And he knew it was wrong. Here, let's continue on to the fourth commandment, which can be found in Exodus chapter 20, verse 8.
Remember the Sabbath day, to keep it holy.
You see, God said to remember the Sabbath day. Here, let's pull up the word remember. So to remember is to have in or be able to bring to one's mind an awareness of someone or something that one has seen, known, or experienced in the past. Or in other words, to recall something that was established earlier. So the Sabbath was something they already knew, as God was telling them to remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. And we can also see the Sabbath day in creation, if we go back to Genesis 2:3. And God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because that in it he had rested from all his work, which God created and made. And it's also interesting that the children of Israel were reminded to remember the Sabbath even before they came to Mount Sinai, when God gave them manna to eat, as we can see in Exodus chapter 16, verses 23 through 28. And he said unto them, This is that which the Lord hath said, Tomorrow is the rest of the holy Sabbath unto the Lord. Bake that which you will bake today, and seethe that ye will seethe, and that which remaineth overlay up for you to be kept until the morning. And they laid it up till the morning, as Moses bade. And it did not stink, neither was there any worm therein. And Moses said, Eat that today, for today is a Sabbath unto the Lord. Today ye shall not find it in the field. 6 days ye shall gather it, but on the 7th day, which is the Sabbath, in it there shall be none. And it came to pass, that there went out some of the people on the 7th day for to gather, and they found none. And the Lord said unto Moses, How long refuse ye to keep my commandments and my laws? So the 4th commandment was clearly being kept before Mount Sinai. Now let's move on to the 5th commandment, which can be found in Exodus chapter 20, verse 12.
Honor thy father and thy mother.
You see, Jacob and Esau both had dishonored their parents, but Jacob finally did obey, as we can see in Genesis chapter 28, verse 7. And that Jacob obeyed his father and his mother and was gone to Pandan Aram. You see, the 5th commandment was in effect before Mount Sinai. Now let's move on to the 6th commandment, which can be found in Exodus chapter 20, verse 13.
Thou shalt not kill.
We can see that breaking the 6th commandment was indeed sin before Mount Sinai, all the way back in Genesis chapter 4, verses 6 through 8. And the Lord said unto Cain, Why art thou wroth, and why is thy countenance fallen? If thou doest well, shalt thou not be accepted? And if thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door. And unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. And Cain talked with Abel his brother. And it came to pass, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel his brother and slew him. You see, it was Cain's anger that led to the sin of murder. And we can also see in the book of Exodus that the midwives feared God and would not kill the babies if it be a son, as it states in Exodus chapter 1, verse 15 through 17. And the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of the one was Shiphrah, and the name of the other Puah. And he said, When ye do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women, and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then ye shall kill him. But if it be a daughter, then she shall live. But the midwives feared God, and did not as the king of Egypt commanded them, but saved the men children alive. So it's clear that the 6th commandment was known before Mount Sinai. Now let's move on to the 7th commandment, which can be found in Exodus chapter 20, verse 14.
Thou shalt not commit adultery.
You see, this commandment was well known and understood by Joseph in Genesis chapter 39, verses 7 through 9. And it came to pass, after these things, that his master's wife cast her eyes upon Joseph. And she said, Lie with me. But he refused, and said unto his master's wife, Behold, my master wotteth not what is with me in the house, and he hath committed all that he hath to my hand. There is none greater in this house than I, neither hath he kept back anything from me but thee, because thou art his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God? So Joseph acknowledged that to break the 7th commandment was not only great wickedness, but a sin against God. Now let's move on to the 8th commandment, which can be found in Exodus chapter 20, verse 15.
Thou shalt not steal.
This commandment was apparently on Jacob's mind when he discussed his wages with Laban in Genesis chapter 30, verse 33. So shall my righteousness answer for me in time to come, when it shall come from my hire before thy face. Everyone that is not speckled and spotted among the goats, and brown among the sheep, that shall be counted stolen with me. Now, let's move on to the 9th commandment, which can be found in Exodus chapter 20, verse 6.
Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor.
We can see lying all the way back in the Garden of Eden, when Satan told Eve that you will not surely die if she ate from the fruit of the forbidden tree. But we all see the consequences of listening to this lie. And we can also see that Job understood this commandment, as he made many references about lying. Here, let's go over a couple, beginning with Job chapter 27, verse 4. My lips shall not speak wickedness, nor my tongue utter deceit. And also in Job chapter 24, verse 25. And if it be not so now, who will make me a liar, and make my speech nothing worth? Now let's move on to the 10th commandment, which can be found in Exodus chapter 20, verse 17.
Thou shalt not covet.
This commandment has been broken ever since Eve saw and desired and began to covet the forbidden fruit. But also in Exodus, when Moses' father-in-law Jethro told him about hating covetousness, as we can see in Exodus chapter 18, verse 21. Moreover, thou shalt provide out of all the people able men, such as fear God, men of truth, hating covetousness, and place such over them to be rulers of thousands, and rulers of hundreds, rulers of 50s, and rulers of 10s. So, after looking at all of these verses, the 10 Commandments was indeed before Mount Sinai.